In this episode, we're talking about creating the vision. I want you to buckle up and be willing to listen to this multiple times because this episode is really, truly going to change your life. All right, you ready? Let's do it. Hello, you are listening to the Love Your Life as a Performer podcast. I'm Kelly Youngman, and I am the life coach for performers. I help actors, singers, and dancers love themselves and their lives way more. So keep listening to learn how you can love your life both on and off the stage. Hello, and welcome back to episode 82 of the Love Your Life as a Performer podcast. I am so excited to share this podcast that I could not wait another week. And since I missed a week or two of podcasts, I thought how fun to release this at the same time and give this gift to you right freaking now. Okay? This episode, this exercise changed my life, and it's something I've been doing over and over again with my coaches. And there's a really specific way that this exercise changed my life. I'm going to tell you that story in a second. And like I mentioned, it's something I've been really doing with my clients right now because I'm actively in it too. And that is creating the vision for your life, which might sound big and broad and cliche, and maybe it is, or maybe this is the fastest way to align with the future that you want to have. When you think about living into the energetic output of the desires and dreams that you have. Okay, so I want you to really take this episode so seriously and give yourself time to listen to it and to do this exercise and revisit it many times. Like I said, this exercise has been so freaking fun to lean into right now for who I'm becoming, for where I'm going. And I'm going to be a little vulnerable and share like real life examples of how this is changing and shading my own vision for myself and how it's grown exponentially. And you can really use this to get clear on what you want in so many areas of your life. So I want you to imagine that you are creating snapshots of the future, right? I want you to imagine that there's a version of you now. If you look on your camera roll, you can scroll back and see all these different memories of your life. Okay? And then I want you to imagine the future and start imagining what the camera roll for your future will be. The more energy and the more vivid experience, texture that you're willing to give those future snapshots, the clearer commands we can give the universe to rearrange and align, like literally the energy of lining it up, right? We line it up by being so clear and coming back to and experiencing and rehearsing the experience beforehand. This is literally the same as mental rehearsal, the same way Olympians will sit and run their races or, their events in their head to physically rehearse, mentally, physically rehearse before it happens. And if you aren't doing this already for your auditions, just know that you can, right? Like you can be mentally rehearsing any experience that you want to have when you just decide how you would like it to go. And the more energy we give to the things we want to experience, right, instead of the things we don't want to experience, the more likely we're going to bring them into the quantum field. We're going to pull those experiences or draw those experiences, those possibilities to us by simply creating the image. And so when it comes to thinking about our biggest, grandest vision for our life, it's so easy to let that be informed by what's currently happening or what other people around us want. And we kind of get into this energy of like, well, what's realistic or what's likely to happen versus like really letting ourselves just go to the space of what would I love? What would I love to experience without limit, right? If we're not worried about how we're going to create it, what would we really love? Okay. So in the exercise of creating the forward vision of your life, you're going to start getting clear on what are these events that I want to draw to me? Like, what would I love to experience? Again, we're doing this without limit. And so recently for myself, I've been thinking about asking this question in so many areas of my life, really all areas of my life. But the way that this kind of forward visioning changed my life years ago was when I was in a mastermind with coaches from all over the world. It was a $25,000 investment for 6 months, and I did the mastermind twice. Okay, so $50,000 I paid to be in the room and to do this exercise in real time. So really, truly, like give yourself permission to invest in this podcast episode as if you had paid $50,000 for it. Okay. But my coach presented to all of us, what would you do with all the money in the world? And so especially if you're like me or my clients and you're wanting to expand your wealth, it's so easy to like get stuck on the first layer, right? It's like, okay, yeah, I want a lot of money. Or yeah, I want the Broadway contract. Or yeah, I want this thing. That's only the first layer of the manifestation. So I've been calling this like, what's the manifestation after the manifestation? Like, what happens to your life? What changes as a result of having this thing? And so I'm constantly inviting my clients to do this work because it also like takes our mind off of this idea that we need to get something and helps us move past like this one dream that's on the pedestal. It lets us take it off the pedestal and start thinking about, okay, what else? What else? What else? What else? Also, just notice if as I'm saying this, like your brain is already like, wait, what in the world? Like that's so greedy or selfish or like it's asking too much. Like it's not good, bad, right, or wrong if that's coming up, but just know that that's like totally normal human behavior, especially with social conditioning, that we should be grateful with what we have, right? Wanting more, desiring more is not incongruent with being appreciative and grateful for the life that we're living now. And when we're wanting to create something, the reason we want it is because of how we think we're going to feel in the having of it. Okay? All of us, if you're listening to this podcast episode, I know that you all want money to do really amazing things in your life. And I'll speak about money for right now because that's the way I did this exercise years ago that changed everything. But so my coach asked us, okay, I want you to imagine you've created all the money that you could ever dream of in your business. What would you do with that money? And I noticed that all of the things that I wanted to do were giving back. It made me feel generous. I wanted to gift my loved ones, right? I wanted to like surprise them, pay off my parents' mortgage. I had all of these dreams and visions and feelings about things that would really make me feel good in my life. And so not only then is money transformed into this thing that's really positive, rather than like the sort of collective conscious thoughts about money where money is really bad, or if you want it, you're greedy or blah, 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 right? By the way, I have a whole podcast series all about money a few episodes back, so go take a look at it. But just know, right? Like when we're adding texture, this is allowing us to see the vision for the life we want. And so if you're familiar with vision boarding or, creating images, collecting images, just know this is essentially the same thing, but it's giving yourself permission to re-engage with it right now. So my coach asked us this, and I remember sitting in a room full of coaches from all over the world and being blown away by like the good humans and all the good that money could create in the world. And the reason this exercise changed my life, which I was reflecting on recently, especially now that I'm living my literal vision board from years ago, I remember just having all of these desires for money and ambition and how I would live and how I would treat my family and how it would support me and my values. And I remember sharing this dream, this vision with my ex, and he was not very receptive to it. He was very much like, why do you want that? Like, you don't need that to be happy. Like, really, truly, I look back now and I'm like, oh, that was such a simple way to realize that we weren't in alignment with the kind of life we wanted to live. And it's not good, bad, right, or wrong, right? Like, my ex was not wrong for the life he wanted to live, but it just wasn't the same as my vision. Like, I have a really big vision for my life. And I always think about it. Actually, I was thinking about this recently because I feel like I was in the final episode of Mrs. Maisel. And, you know, she gives that amazing speech of like, I want a big life. And I always thought it was so interesting that in her big life, she ended up alone. And I think that's a lot of our fears, right? If we get too big, we're going to be alone. And my thought is like, what if the bigness of our life creates the most connection, community, and love that we ever could imagine? And so again, this vision, when we're willing to sit with it and hold it and dream it, not only does it change our frequency, it changes the people around us and what they're able to meet us at. Which is why I really do believe that this exercise and the practice of visioning and visualizing and getting clear on these big images has only ever invited me to more than I ever imagined for myself. I actually did this exercise again in a different way with another one of my coaches. And I remember her sort of prompting me, like, what are the 3 things at the end of your life? Like, it's your last day on this planet and you're literally about to die, which it sounds a little morbid, but what are the things that really matter to you? And I remember having this vision of myself like speaking on a giant stage, like Madison Square Garden stage, speaking to people. And I realized that, holy shit, I'm here to have a really big impact. I saw all my friends and family around me, like in a beautiful home. And I just knew like impact, like fame on some level, because it was like allowing me to have this platform to change lives, and family. Like those were the things that kept coming up. And again, I just want to share some of these things because I remember my coach talking about them. I have a lot of coaches, but I remember when I did this exercise at my mastermind, I was so expanded by the things that I realized money could create. Therefore, my passion could create, right? Because money is just an extension, a result of the things we do and the value we create in the world. I want to share some of my big ass vision with you to invite you to feel safe to keep dreaming. One of my clients said this recently when we were on a call for the Paradigm, because they were sharing all of their expanded vision. I had them do this exercise. And they said, I just want to acknowledge how magical this room is, because never in my life have I felt so safe to share my dreams without fear of being judged or, told that's ridiculous or like, oh, that would be nice, right? Like, I want you to imagine if you really took your dreams as seriously, like fully seriously, and if you were surrounded by people who also took those dreams seriously. Okay. But for me, something that emerged recently was like, I can't believe I'm going to say this publicly. I've been sharing it with my clients and friends, but I realized that like Beyonce is literally in my network right now. And I just started playing with like, what if I was Beyonce's life coach? I've been building this identity as coach to the stars. Like my clients are literal stars all over the world in their own fields. And I was like, wait a second, what if I really was Beyonce's life coach? How would I think? How would I move? How would I dress? The way this has been elevating me, and I had this new thought the same day I got my hair done, or maybe the day before I got my hair done. So it's just, as soon as my hair was fresh, I was feeling it, right? My energy changed, my frequency changed. I've been imagining, what does it look like when Terry and I have completely redone the apartment, when we have a brand new kitchen, right? I've been imagining the kind of birth that I want to have for my future child. And I just keep receiving downloads of like, ooh, this new birthing center opened on the Upper West Side. Like, this seems exactly aligned with the experience I want to have. And they work and partner with the hospital that's literally 3 blocks away from me. Like, yes, that's a definite yes. Right? So I've just been allowing myself to create these snapshots, not only of the idea of what I want, but adding texture to who I am when I'm in the experience, right? Going back to like my role as a life coach, I've been thinking about my clients like flying me first class all over the world to come and support them and be with them, maybe before they're about to do a big performance, right? Like, they are so excited to do this work. I've been thinking about who I am as a mother when I have my kids and we're living in New York. And also Terry's work has taken us to Europe, especially in Paris, like being a hub, like 2 to 3 months we're in Paris every year, right? Like, I've been going to the place of, what does it look like to, of course, send a car to get my parents and pick them up from Jersey to bring them to my house so that they can, spend time with the babies. And, like, it just feels so good to create that level of ease for my parents. I was thinking about how fun it will be when I can be like, again, just like the expert gift giver for all of my friends and family. And, like spoiling them with birthday dinners and shopping sprees and all of that kind of stuff. And then I've also been looking at, as I'm thinking about my dreams and, supporting Terry's dream and buying him all brand new sewing equipment for his home studio. These are just a few of the mile markers that I'm seeing. Oh, I forgot a big one that I keep forgetting and keep wanting to reactivate, which is receiving the legacy robe, right? Like being the ensemble member in a Broadway show that has the most credits and getting to do like a lap in the legacy robe. That's been a moment that's been really fun for me to sink into, because I know, or I have a sense that if and when that happens, most likely I'm going to be a mom, right? Like, I don't know. That feels so freaking cool. Even the idea of like booking my next Broadway show, I've been thinking about what it will feel like to walk to the theater with Terry once they've put up the new marquee and like he's taking my selfies for my Instagram, right? But whatever these dreams are for you, have you actually been spending time with them? Like, what percentage of your day are you going into these moments in time and living them? Not just thinking about them or having them as like a to-do list in your notes of like, oh, that will be nice. That'll be nice. I would like that. But like really living them as if you've already created it. I mentioned in the last episode that I borrowed my friend's car to go to Jersey for a funeral. And as I was driving, I really had this image too of like, oh, it's going to be so fun to have a car again. And I was like, of course I'm going to have a Tesla. I would love to have a Tesla. It's going to be a white SUV. And I could imagine myself driving it and like feeling so safe to be in it with my family, right? Like, are you really giving your body the opportunity to feel into these experiences? That's the power of how you activate the vision. That's how you get on the frequency, right? If you've heard me talk about this, to be in alignment, to be on the right radio station. It's like knowing that it's coming and like being so happy and grateful that it happened. So I want you to start playing with, what would I really love in money, in relationships, in my career, in my health, right? Like I've been thinking about myself, like having a 6-pack and just like being in so much ease in my body, like, and feeling so strong. That's been really fun for me. This is truly how I manifested my Broadway debut. I used to do it all day, every day, all throughout my day. I just found evidence over and over again to think about how I was going to feel when I was on that stage. And sure enough, I manifested it in less than 6 months. Okay? So this episode is for realsies. All right? I want you to take time to really think about, what would I love? And notice that the vision's going to keep getting bigger and bigger. And what if that's a good thing? What if that's amazing? What if that doesn't make you selfish or greedy or ungrateful? Instead, it just makes you a human living into this natural upward spiral of expansion. Because we're here to live. We're here to grow. We're here to experience all that life has to offer. And yes, you're allowed to put anything on this list that would make your life feel amazing. And so just check in. Does the vision give you more life? Does it make you smile? Does it make your heart explode when you think about doing it? Write it down and let yourself be in that experience. And then, there's lots of other episodes and lots of other things we can talk about that come with then taking action on these visions. But it starts in our brains. It starts by the camera roll, the snapshots that we're taking of the future so that we have somewhere to move towards. I shit you not. I'm living the exact relationship that I manifested, and I've been manifesting for years. Someone that I can meditate with, someone who likes to cook, someone who's spiritual, someone that's funny, someone that likes to dance, someone who likes to go out, someone who's a little bougie and fancy and like enjoys people and can go to like galas and events and be comfortable, right? Like that is literally my partner. And not only that, I'm living in a 3-bed, 2-bath with a balcony. I know that sounds like maybe I've said that before, but it still blows my mind that the man of my dreams, who will talk with me, laugh with me, stay up all night, freaking is invested in our intimacy, right? Like all of that. And we're living in a 3-bed, 2-bath with a balcony, walking distance to Broadway. I'm not like attached to the circumstance. It just blows my mind because I literally had that on my vision board for years, right? So when we give the universe clear direction of where we want to go, the universe, source, God can line it up and we can live it. And then once we get there, we have to just be willing to know that it's safe to keep dreaming. It's safe to keep looking at what else would delight me? What else would I love? All right. I love you all. I hope this episode just gives you permission to start dreaming and dreaming bigger than you can even anticipate right now. Dreaming even bigger than you think is possible. And if you want help with that, this is what I do for my clients all day, every day. So friendly reminder, you can book a launch call at kellyyoungmanwellness.com/launch and we can get started. All right. I'll meet you back here for another episode. Hey, I want to invite you to get started because if this is blowing your mind, imagine the impact of when we actually work together. You get to love your life as an actor, singer, or dancer, even including auditions. And if that sounds amazing, come join us inside of Momentum. You get lifetime access to the Performers Plan, coaching, community, and more, and I will be supporting you the entire way. Go to kellyyoungmanwellness.com/momentum to join us now.